What's up, guys? I just wanted to come to you quickly because number one, something's irking my nerve. Number two, I normally don't like to do videos, but as you can see, I'm very busy, single mom of 2 kids, as you know, and I'm thinking about doing a vlog, because then I can get my opinions across more clearly. Obviously, Twitter doesn't do it. Facebook doesn't do it. I don't go on Facebook very often, but I do tweet through, and I'm not a big fan of Instagram. So maybe if I do speak out more, then I'll get less supposed misunderstanding. I don't know. Some people are just stupid, so it really doesn't matter what I say. They're still going to try to misunderstand it. But anyway, number one, today I was sending a message about some CBS news anchors who are respectable, that trust me in their job performance. They have to be, but they also are so whitewashed with their content that a lot of times they don't really say anything but what you can tell someone wrote for them to say. And that is irritating, especially when it comes to news that you want to see that can be helpful for quote-unquote POC, or people of color. And I hate to use that term, but I'm not sure what race they are. I'm not sure if they're biracial. That's not my business. I don't care. No one's asking for them to deliver to African-American communities directly the news, but we are, saying at least be truthful in your content and not just be a shill. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. Number one. Number two, that's how you had written that comment, and you attach your replies to a comment, so there's no way you can post one without the other if they're attached. Literally, the last 2 comments disappeared on Twitter. I'm like, how in the world did this just happen? Because I just posted it, and it just disappeared. Wow. So I said, okay, it's going to be that kind of day. All week my phone's been very slow, and my computer just locked me out. We're just telling me that someone's probably hacking me. Now, I'm not oblivious to the Twitter hacks, that's the so-called blue checks, which I should be by now, but as they blackball people that speak out and tell the truth, who knows? Irregardless of what business I own, how much money I make. Well, I won't say how much money I make, but how much clout that I have. It's pretty much that's what it's about. There's a lot of clout chasers out there who don't have jack, but rented Instagram, this and that, who become verified because they have the means to look like who I am. So, whatever. Whether they're faking the means or not, I don't care. That's not my concern. I'm a real person. I do not need your approval. It's nice if you give it, wonderful. But if you don't, it's not going to make or break me. But as I'm saying, I'm driving, so I'm trying to make it as clear as possible. When someone hacks you, no one cares. Someone blatantly does this, and it's just something where it rarely actually happens on Twitter, which is why I use it more than other platforms, because it actually works for what it's supposed to be used for. I really, like I say, I don't care for Facebook, because they used to hack me constantly on Facebook. I get spammed by everything. XXX people and people who are white supremacists, you name it. Rarely has it happened on Twitter, only like once or twice in the last 9 years. But back to what I'm saying. The second thing I just tweeted about was a news story which co-opted the Say Her Name movement, which was controversial because we had activists in the African American community who didn't even know what Say Her Name was. And it's not just a hashtag, it's an actual academic movement, as I've said many times before, created by Kimberly Crenshaw, who's an academic. She's a lawyer. If you need credibility or something of that nature, if you haven't read about it, it's for black women who were victims of police violence, specifically. It's a whole academic thing, whole big thing there, whole big thing, right? Not just I woke up and then did a hashtag. Now, you can do whatever you want as far as activism, but you also need to do research, okay? You can't just jump up and be an activist. You have to be educated about what you're talking about, number one. Number two, someone in Iran say their names regarding some people who had been executed by the government. I understand that's a very frustrating situation, but again, you see the co-opting becomes exploitation when we're dealing with even Iran who's basically co-opting us. And this morning I read Germany was, and I mean France is, and we've heard about their movement as well, which is fine. We want a worldwide movement to uplift black folk, but we don't want people to objectify African American folks or to think we're all Black Lives Matter. Okay, that movement was started partly from the money of Soros, and we all know that. Okay, and it does, and I will tell you, as someone who understands LGBTQIA, or we'll just say LGBTQ plus, who studied it in school, who's someone who's a fairly liberal person who was not a bigot, I will tell you it does lean towards the LGBTQ movement. It does. Okay, if I were someone who was lying to you, then I tell you that it wasn't. It does. Okay, the founders are that way, and sometimes you do it because you can't help it, and sometimes you do it because you worked in that field, and someone thought, hey, you'd be better working over here in just the all black, African American field. We're going to move you over a little bit, and maybe they had their own agendas behind it, as I said, Soros and others, where they receive funding, which they're not mentioning. The co-sponsors is a dangerous thing. Now, you own or you operate an organization, you don't have to tell people who's funding you, okay? But I find that to be a bit murky. So when other people around the world start co-opting not only Black Lives Matter, but also movements that they barely understand, they have no idea even what, as I said, the late civil rights icons who just passed away were talking about, and we're talking about the 1960s. They've never studied anything about the African American struggle, nothing about what we're going through, and then they say, well, look at this moving over here. And I know her lens was towards white folk, as we like to call them, and that is, a term that's basically used in academia. I'm not just being, someone who's being crass. Okay, it is white folk, black folk, as in W.E.B. Du Bois, who says the souls of black folk, for those who do not understand that yet. Okay, so, or the souls of white folk, which is also one of my favorites. So, as we start to try to comprehend this, the co-opting has become manipulation, it's become exploitation, it's become ridiculous. And I know they don't mean it in other countries, I would hope not, but the day they posted that, go get your sister, man.
All right.
Thanks. So I'm picking my daughter up from work. The day they posted that was so bad. It was in such bad taste, with those civil rights icons dying. I'm going to assume it wasn't intentional, but I don't know. Yeah, they can't be stupid. They should have taken it down. And so when people get angry, when you speak up and you say something, then you're wrong. You don't say something, then they just reimagine what you're like, what you're going to say. They pretend. There's a lot of jealousies out there. There's a lot of racism too, a lot of sexism, and a lot of BS. So as we start to come into reality here, more and more, there's more and more reality that we're coming into. I'm almost finished, baby.
I'm sorry, Mama, but I don't have a mask with me, but
okay, just go send it back. I'll text her. Here she comes. Okay. So as we start to delve more and more into, hi, can you put that in the back seat for me?
Yeah.
Into reality.
You had another mask.
Shh, hush, babes. Then we start realizing that there's too much of this going on. And it's not just gossip, it's not just immaturity. You're always going to have someone who's going to be that type of person. But there's also people who are afraid to speak up and tell the truth. People who do stuff and their stuff gets automatically deleted when they say something. And it's so weird to me because I'm like, why did you just delete the last 2 tweets? And whenever anybody says anything that is appropriate about something that isn't appropriate, because of the status quo that's been created that's so low in stature, the glorification of money and capitalism, which is for the most part just a falsehood. The glorification of women as being sexual objects all the time. Women are supposed to look sexy. I mean, that's what, especially when you're younger, that's what you do. I am not saying that for one moment. that I didn't take modeling pictures, or that I wasn't a model, or that models aren't pretty. I will never say that. Or women aren't supposed to wear sexy things. But I think that if you're looking at someone who's not looking at you as a sex object, you might be developing some sort of psychological condition. And honestly, I believe that there are a lot of young men these days who do have problems like that. And it's because of, not even because of poverty, it's just because of mental illness developing into such a large condition that we have now that we're not talking about. So sometimes when you say one thing, people lie and say you didn't say it, or you said another, or what have you. So I just wanted to clarify what I meant. What I mean is what I say. I will not be silenced. I'm not going to have someone delete my tweets. I'm not going to have someone walk all over me. I'm not going to have someone pretend that I'm this, that, and the other, or I'm not who I say that I am. People love to shoot down your credentials when they're jealous of you. They love to belittle women. If you have children, they're going to say everything about you. They're going to say you're a welfare person. They're going to say as if that's a bad thing. Because I'll quote Patricia Hill Collins to you a million damn times about women in work. So please don't tell me that that's something I feel self-conscious about, because it's not. They'll tell you you're, some sort of person who's out here in the streets. As they said, that Jada Pinkett crap the other day, oh, you for the streets, Jada, because she was about to get a divorce. This is the problem we have in the black community that needs to be addressed. Some of it's immaturity, but some of it is just plain uneducated sexism, and it needs to stop now. I'm tired of having to say the same things over and over again and have people pretend like I didn't say them. This is not pretend. This is real life. We're real people, and I'm a real academic. So I don't want to sound like I'm in some way angry. I'm not, but I'm frustrated because